In today's day and age, it is pretty much undeniable that video editing and content creation is one of the most valuable skills that you can learn. Literally, pretty much every single business out there needs content, and also those who become content creators tend to make a lot of money and get a lot of opportunities. In fact, I first started out as a freelance video editor, and I was able to turn that into a multi-six-figure-a-year business operation in just a few years. So believe me when I tell you that learning video editing has been one of the best decisions that I've made in my life. Now, in this video, I want to teach you all the basics that you need to get started, because I know how painful and how frustrating it can be to get started learning a new editing software. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. So when you first open up Adobe Premiere Pro, this is kind of what you are going to be greeted with. And the first thing that you want to do is click here on this blue icon that says new project. Okay. Once you have done that, you can name your project whatever you want. So I'm just going to name this one Surf. And then you can also choose the location for where you want to store this project. If you want to choose a custom location, just click here on this little drop down icon and then click on choose location, and you can choose your own folder. Now, after that is done, just click here on create, and that is going to create a new project for you. Now, before we begin, thank you to Envato Elements for sponsoring this video and making it happen, and thank you to you for watching the channel. For video editors and content creators like yourself, this platform is literally everything that you need in one place. Envato Elements offers unlimited downloads of millions of assets that you can use in your videos, from stock video footage to Adobe Premiere Pro graphics, templates, music, sound effects, images, different fonts, and so much more. There's literally pretty much nothing that you can think of in the digital space that Envato Elements doesn't have either a template for or some type of asset for that you can download there. You can download whatever you want and as many times as you want if you have an Envato subscription, without needing to license every single thing individually, one by one, which if you are going to do that with stock video, music, and so on, it could literally cost you tens of thousands of dollars. Oh, and the best part is you get a license with literally every single asset on the platform for not only your personal use, but also commercial use at no extra cost. All the assets I'm using in this video, including the B-roll, the stock footage, the music, the sound effects, and even these animations, are from Envato as well. Now, if you sign up with the link in the description right now, Envato is actually offering an amazing opportunity where you can get 30% off of the annual plan and even 70% off your first month. So make sure to check that out. Now, let's get into the tutorial. So the first thing I would recommend you before you even start editing is to get organized. The reason why this is important is because if you don't get into the habit of organization beforehand when you're just starting out, then it's going to be a lot more difficult to get into it later on. What I like to do is I like to create different folders for all the different types of footage and assets that I'm going to be using in my video. So you can see here I have some different B-roll clips of people doing surfing. I have some sound effects right here. I have a song here. I have an icon as well. And I have some flashlight transitions as well, which I'm going to be using. So what I'm going to do is basically make one folder for B-roll, and I'm just going to put all my B-roll clips inside of there. I'm going to make one for transitions, okay? And I'm going to put my transitions in there. I will make one for music and make one for other assets as well. And now what I'm going to do is just drag and drop this into my project library. So I just selected all of them and just going to drag and drop it right here. And as you can see now, instead of the clips being all over the place, being super unorganized, they are nicely categorized into different folders. So if I want to open up my B-roll folder, for example, I can do that here by double clicking it. I can preview all these little clips here, and I can also go back in the folder by pressing this button right there. So the next thing that you want to do is create a sequence. So basically within a project, you can have as many sequences as you want, and within the sequences, you are going to be editing the actual videos. So a sequence has a resolution, it has a different frame rate, right? So those are going to be the parameters of the video that's edited within the sequence, but within one overarching project, you can have multiple sequences. So for example, if you went on a 7-day traveling trip, right? You can create a project for that, and then within that have a sequence, for example, for each day that you filmed, and you can edit a separate video within those sequences for each day. Hope that makes sense. So to create a sequence, you can either just click here on new item and then go to sequence, or you can also right click here, create new item, sequence, and then you are going to be able to set up the settings of it. So you can also choose from all these presets that are available to you here, or go to settings, and then you can set up your custom settings as well. So I'm going to stick with 23.976 frames per second and full HD, and for now that is fine with me. You can also name your sequence here whatever you want. Click OK, and then as you can see, the timeline has appeared, and now we can start editing. Now, if your video editing software, your Premiere Pro, looks a little bit different from mine, don't worry at all, it is completely normal. You might just be in a different workspace. So workspaces are kind of like layout presets within Premiere Pro. So if you come here to the top right corner to workspaces, you can see that we have all these different presets. So for example, we have essential presets, we have editing, we have coloring, we have effects, we have audio, captions, and graphics. So all of these are different layout presets for the software, which are kind of optimized for different type of tasks, right? So for example, if we come to the editing one, it is laid out in a way where it is very optimal for editing. If we come to the coloring one, then it's going to have these coloring settings as well here pulled up. And you can also customize these however you want. So pretty much everything inside of Premiere Pro is drag and drop. So if I have this audio clip mixer window here, I can actually move that around. And if I want to place it here, for example, I can just do that, right? Or if I don't even need it at all, I can click here on these 3 lines and then click on close panel and get rid of it completely. Now, if you got rid of something that you didn't mean to and you messed up your workspace, right, and you want to make it back to its original layout, then you can always just come here to Window, Workspaces, okay, and then click on Reset to Saved Layout, and it's going to put it back to its original version. And if you have something that you are missing from your workspace, then you can also just come here to Window and see all these different type of panels that are available in Premiere Pro. And if you want to have, for example, essential sound enabled, you can just click on that and it's going to pop up right there, and then you can place it wherever you want. I have my footage in here, and the next thing that we want to do is we want to actually go and import it to our timeline so we can start the editing, right? Now you can see I can also preview this clip here by either like scrolling here with my cursor, or I can also preview it by coming here in this preview window and scrolling through it here. So there are a couple ways you can import to your timeline, okay? One of them is just to literally grab the clip here, drag it onto a video track right here, and then it's going to be on your timeline, right? Another way you can go about it is by double clicking on it here, and then you can select the part where you want the clip to start, for example here, and then you can press I on your keyboard to set the in point of your clip, and then you can also go to where you want the clip to end, press O on your keyboard as a shortcut, and then you can just drag and drop this onto your timeline, and this way you only get the section of the clip imported onto your timeline that you actually want to use. This can be quite handy. If you want to clear out a selection, you can just right click and then click on clear in and out. So let's get a little bit more familiar now with the software's layout, because right now you're probably still a little bit overwhelmed and you're not sure which thing does exactly what. Okay, so first of all, here with this specific layout that I have right now in the editing section, we have the library, project library here. So we have all the different, clips and files that we have imported into this project. Then you have your timeline right here. So this is going to be the actual final edit. And you can see this is, from 0 seconds all the way to however long your project is going to be. And on your timeline, you can zoom pretty easily in a couple different ways. Number one, if you're using a laptop, you can just use your touchpad and use that to zoom in and out. You can also use this little thing here by clicking on it and dragging it, or you can also use a keyboard shortcut to do it. Now, if you want to set up custom keyboard shortcuts for pretty much anything, then all you have to do is come here to Premiere Pro, come here to keyboard shortcuts, okay? And you're going to be able to see which button is assigned to what keyboard shortcut at the moment. You can also search up, a keyboard shortcut here, or find all the different ones that there are, and you can assign a certain button or a certain button combination in here to any kind of command that you can do in Premiere Pro. Okay, so we have your clips here, we have your timeline here, and this here is your preview windows. So this is where you see how your edit is looking at the moment. You can also switch, for example, here to the effect controls tab. So if I click on this clip, for example, come here to effect controls, I can adjust some of the most important properties of the clip right here. Okay, now talking about the effect controls tab, let me show you some of the most essential things that you can modify on your clips, right? So first of all, if you select a clip right here, you need to make sure you are on the selection tool, you select it. Then you can adjust the position of it right here. So you can change the different axes, right? You can also change the scale of the clip, so make it smaller or more zoomed in, however you wish. You can obviously also undo changes by pressing Command or Control Z, depending on whether you are on Mac or Windows. And you can also redo changes by pressing Shift Command and Z or Shift Control Z. You can also change the rotation of a clip. You can also change the opacity of a clip. So that is basically like how see-through it is, how much you see of the layer that's under it. And you can also change the speed of the clip right here. Now, if you also add any effects or transitions to a clip, you're going to be able to make changes to those here in the effect controls tab. They're going to appear here. Now, if you want to slow down a clip, another way you can go about it is right click on it and then come down here all the way to speed/duration. And then here you can set the speed percentage, right? So for example, if I want it to be 50% speed, I can click on that, click OK, and as you can see now it's slowed down 50%. If I want it to be more sped up, I can also just come here to speed/duration. Let's say I want 3x speed on it, I can just put 300% and then click OK, right? And now it's going to be 300% speed. Now, some of the most used tools that you are going to be using here in your toolbar is going to be the selection tools. And this is the one that you can use to just, scroll around on your timeline. You can also select clips by it, how its name suggests. Then you're also going to be using the razor tool quite a lot. So currently I have that set to B. And with that, you are able to, actually make cuts to a clip. So for example, if I wanted to cut out the middle section of this one, I can make a cut here by clicking on it, and then here as well. And now if I go back to my selection tool by pressing A in my case, but you can set this up to whatever you want, and I click on it, I select it, I press delete on my keyboard, now it's going to delete it. Now you can see that now we have this black space left between the two clips. So if you want to get rid of that as well, you can also select that and then press delete again, and it's going to be deleted. Now there's also a really cool shortcut called Ripple Delete, where if you want to delete a clip between two clips and not have that black space left over, you can just press Shift and delete on your keyboard, and it's going to automatically get rid of the space that was left between the two. Now, I really hope you have been enjoying this tutorial so far and learning a lot, but I also have something else you might like. I have a private community for mastering video editing online called videoeditors.io, where you can learn how to edit professional short form and also long form content from completely scratch. If you are looking for a place where you can not only find the highest quality tutorials in an organized way, but also a great supportive community where you can get feedback on your work, ask questions, and get professional editors to review your work and give you direct advice, then you need to look no further. We have over 50 hours of step-by-step educational content, assets that you can use, project files you can download, and even raw videos of me that you can practice on. Oh, and you can not only learn Adobe Premiere Pro, but also Photoshop, After Effects, and many more. I'm also going to teach you everything that I've learned about growing a YouTube channel from scratch after going from 0 to 250,000 subscribers in just a few years and generating hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue from my channel every single year. So if you want to try this out, for a limited time only, you can click the link in the description and join for only $47 per month, and you can cancel anytime. Now, back to the tutorial. Now, on the timeline, as you can see, we have different video tracks and audio tracks as well. And whatever is on the higher video track is what gets priority, right? So for example, I have this clip right now here on video track 1. If I place this other clip on top of it, then that is what's going to be visible in the final edit. You can also lock a track if you don't want to make any adjustments to it, so it cannot be touched. You can also enable and disable a track if you don't want it to be visible in your final edit, for example. So there's quite a lot of things that you can do here. Now let me show you how you can apply a transition between two different clips. So what you want to do is, for example, on this layout, I need to come here all the way to effects, and I'm going to have my video transitions in here. So I'm going to add, for example, an iris cross transition between these two clips. So yeah, once you have come to your effects tab, wherever that is in your workspace, then you can, go ahead, select the transition that you want to use, and then just drag and drop it between the two clips that you want it to be applied on, right? So for example, I just applied it between these two clips, and you can see this is the transition that we have got. If you want to change the duration of a transition, you can do it either by grabbing here the side of it and then holding on and then sliding, or you can also change the duration of it by selecting it, coming here to your effect controls and changing the duration here. Sometimes you can also make other adjustments to the transition, like the direction of it or color of it, or whatever the case is. Now, when it comes to applying effects, it works basically the same exact way. You just come here to your effects tab and then you choose, for example, video effects. And there is a ton of different effects in Premiere Pro built in that you can use, but you can also download, external ones, also external transitions from something like Envato Elements. But for example, I'm just going to add a mirror effect to this clip. So I'm just going to go ahead, grab that and put it on this clip right now. And here, as you can see, now it's been added to my effect controls, and I can actually make adjustments to this effect, right? So for example, if I change the reflection center or whatever, I can create this pretty interesting looking effect right here. Now, another really cool feature of Premiere Pro is adjustment layers. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and switch now to the coloring workspace. I will create a new item and I will create a new adjustment layer. It's automatically going to be the same settings as my sequence, so that is perfect. I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to go ahead and drag this to video track 2, so it's above my clip. Okay. And with adjustment layers, you can basically apply any effects to them. You can even apply transitions to them or color grades, and it's going to be only adjusting whatever is under it. For example, I am going to click on the adjustment layer, come here to my Lumetri color tab, and I can make whatever adjustments I want here. For example, I'm going to lower the exposure, maybe change the tint a little bit. Even if I add another clip here, let's say this one afterwards, you can see that that is also adjusted by this adjustment clip. Now, if I disable it, you can see that that is the before and after, right? This can be really useful, especially when you're working on a lot of clips at the same time, because with an adjustment layer, you can just make the changes to that instead of the individual clips, and then it's going to still affect all the clips that it is dragged above. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is add some music and sound effects to my clip. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to go into my music folder and drag and drop this onto my timeline. And if you want to make, the audio track a little bit bigger, you can just drag it out like this. And as you can see now, we can see the waveform of the actual music that I've added to my timeline. Now, if you want to change the volume of an audio clip, whether that's a sound effect or an actual song, you can do that in two ways. For example, you can either click here on this white line that goes throughout the whole track. You can drag it down and you can see how much you are adjusting the decibel levels by. So for example, now I put it to minus 27.5, but you can also add more gain to it the same way. Or you can also just come here to your effect controls, come here to volume, make sure you have the actual audio file selected that you're trying to adjust, and then you can just put in here whatever you want, right? For example, 25 decibels. And you can also obviously adjust the length. You can trim your clips by dragging one side of it and then dragging it to the right direction to make it shorter from that side, or same works on the other side as well. And this also works for videos as well. Or you can also use the razor tool and make cuts to it same way as you would with the videos. And if you go to effects, there's also different audio effects as well that you can apply to these. Now, the main audio transition that you're going to use probably quite a lot is constant gain or constant power or exponential fade. And with these, if you apply this to the beginning of it, you're going to be able to make a nice little fade to it. Okay, so for example, if I added this constant gain, it goes from super low volume to full volume nicely. All right, so next up, we're going to go ahead and add some text to our video. So basically, you come here to Workspaces. I prefer using the captions and graphics option for this, but you don't necessarily have to at all. And you can come here to, again, Essential Graphics, edit, click here on text, and you can add a text layer, easy as that. Or you can also just get the type tool on here from the toolbar, start clicking somewhere, start typing away, and that's also going to create a text layer for you. Now, when it comes to actually making adjustments to your text, it is pretty simple and straightforward, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. If you have used Word or anything, you know, before where you had to type, you're probably going to be fine with this. So you can change the alignment of it here. You know, so if you want to align it to the middle, you can do it by clicking on these two. You can also just, you know, freely move it around wherever you want to using those things. You can change the color of it here. You can change the font. You can change the size, right? So all of these things can be edited here really easily. Now let me show you how you can add some custom motion graphics to your Premiere Pro, because these are going to be a lifesaver, especially when you're starting out, you don't know how to animate stuff really, or you know, more of those advanced things. These can save you a lot of time and headaches. So you click here on this little plus icon, and then after that, you just go to where you have your motion graphic downloaded. For example, I got some downloaded from Envato, and these are the exact ones. So it's called MOGRT. I'm going to choose this folder. And as you can see, just like that, it got imported right here. So the one that I got is a location text. And then now I can actually just drag and drop it onto my timeline. Okay, so this is how it looks right now. By clicking on it, coming here to Essential Graphics, I can change the text. So I'm going to change it to whatever, beach, and then let's change it to California. Okay, I don't know actually where this is, but let's just say it is. Simple as that. I was able to add this cool animation and change the text to whatever I wanted. I can also change the scale of it here, the position of it. So for example, if I want it to be here in the bottom left corner, I can do it just like that. And now I have this professional animation added. This is something I definitely recommend you, especially if you are starting out, to use motion templates. Use these things because somebody has already made these assets for you, and you can save, again, a ton of time by not like trying to recreate these on your own. All right, the next thing I want to show you is keyframing. So keyframing is basically animating over a certain time period a change in a parameter of the clip. Let me show you, because then it's going to be easier to understand. So for example, I have this clip right here, and I can change the opacity of it right here, right, as you can see. So for example, if I wanted to go from dark, right here in the beginning, to full brightness over, let's say, 2 seconds, I can go to the beginning of that clip, right? And then I can make sure it's on 0% opacity. I can click this little toggle animation button right here. And then now I'm going to go, let's say, around whatever, 2 seconds forward to 6 seconds right now here on the timeline. And I'm going to change this number back to 100. And as you can see now, here as well, you can see that we got these two little keyframes added to the clip. And you can see, if you pay attention to the opacity number, as I go forward in time, now it actually, goes from 0 to 100% opacity. Wherever you see this little stopwatch icon, you can actually animate that parameter of the clip, right? Or it can also be done with effects. So for example, if I want this clip to also zoom in as it goes forward in time, I can click here on the scale. I can go to, let's say, here in the clip. I can scale this up to, let's say, 102 scale. And if I look at this spec again, you can see it's also zooming in as it goes forward in time. And obviously, you can add even more keyframes. You can make the animation faster by pulling them closer in time here. If I wanted to zoom out again, let's say now it zoomed in. Let's say I wanted to zoom out again here. I can just put it back to 50 here, and as you can see, it added another keyframe, and now it zooms in and then zooms out. Okay, now when it comes to coloring your clip, it is also something you might want to do. So I do recommend you to go into the coloring workspace. So you will easily find this section here, and pretty much all you need in the beginning is the Lumetri color tab. Now I do personally recommend color grading on an actual adjustment layer like we did previously. So I'm going to add that on top of this clip, because this way, if you want to make any changes to it, or you didn't like how it turned out or whatever, you don't have to, manually like remove them. You can just get rid of the adjustment layer and it will get rid of the color grade on the clip under it as well. And if you want to apply it to another clip as well, again, you can just extend it and have it be immediately applied to the next clip as well. So when it comes to the color grading, here in the Lumetri section, you can, change the temperature of the clip, so make it colder or warmer. You can change the tint, the saturation of the clip, the exposure settings to make it brighter or make it darker. If you come here to these different sections like the creative, you can also, choose from all these built-in looks that, are inside of Premiere Pro, and you can change the intensity of them as well. You can even go and apply your own LUTs. So LUTs are lookup tables. It's kind of like Instagram filters, but just for video editing. And you can install your own as well by downloading it from the net and then clicking on browse, and then you can choose your own LUTs as well to be imported. You can change the intensity of it. So LUTs are a really cool way to like very quickly color grade clips. You also have here things like the curves, so you can add more, for example, contrast to your clip by adding a simple S curve like this. There's so many things to cover when it comes to color grading, and I'm not the biggest expert in color grading. I usually just use LUTs or some basic, corrections, but you can take care of all of that and create the exact desired look that you want to create right here. If you color grade it on an adjustment layer, you can also change the intensity of it by clicking on the adjustment layer and then actually just changing the opacity of that. So you can see I can change how strong the color grade is by changing the opacity of the actual adjustment layer. If you want to add voiceover to your clip, then you can just click here on voiceover record, and you will actually be able to just talk over your clip and it will appear as an actual, audio layer. So for example, I recorded this audio, layer right here. I also made another video about how to add auto-generated captions within Premiere Pro, and a lot of people have liked that, so I'm also going to link that below this video. All right, so now I'm going to use all these different little skills that I have showed you in this video and create, a full-on edit from these clips with it. So I hope you liked it. I didn't take too much time to create this, but I just wanted to illustrate how you can bring together all these separate little things within Premiere Pro that we already walked through and what you can kind of create from it. Now, when it comes to actually exporting your video, you want to press I on your keyboard where you want your export to begin, like where you want your video to begin, right? And then you can go to the part where you want your export to end. So for example, here. And now you have made a selection on the timeline. You can also undo this by right click and then, clear selection. And then now you can just come here to the export tab. You can see I have my selection here, and then you can choose right here all the different settings for your export. So you can choose the format, you can choose the preset if you want to use one, you can choose the location of where you want it to be saved. I also made a video about this, the best settings for YouTube upload. You can check that out if you're interested. But yeah, once you have done that, you pretty much just have to click on export, and you will be able to see how much time is left from the exporting, and it's going to be then available on the exact location that you selected. For example, for me now it's on my desktop, and as you can see I have my final export right here. So I really hope that by now you feel a little bit more confident in Adobe Premiere Pro and navigating through the software. If you want to keep learning from me, then make sure to join videoeditors.io. You can try it out, you can cancel anytime if you didn't like it for whatever reason, but there you're going to be able to find a lot of amazing step-by-step tutorials and also get your videos reviewed by me and other editing experts directly. And also check out Envato Elements for this amazing discounted opportunity to use their B-rolls, their different motion graphics, sound effects, songs, and everything that you are going to need in your projects as well. Thank you so much for your time, attention, and for watching.